Alright, guys, so welcome back. This is going to be day two, and hopefully, that kind of day one awkwardness goes away a little bit. Um, it's easier to speak to you guys, and I can get more of the story out. So, I just got back. It's 11:28, 29 p.m., and just got back from driving back from one of my friend's houses. And on the way back, it brought me back to a day when I decided to leave home. This was back in February 2016, and I was 19 years old, and I had enough of being at my house. I didn't want to be under my parents' roof anymore, so I decided about a month earlier that I was going to quit my job. I was going to save up as much money as I could. I was going to go move down to Texas. I have an uncle that lives down there, and I was going to try to get an apartment down there, and I was going to try to. I had a job set up, but I mean, as you'll find out later in the story, not everything goes according to plan. And boy, did this plan not pan out too well. So back in, I think it was late December, I really started getting my mind up and said, I don't want to live in my parents' house. I'm only 19, I'm not going to college, but I don't want to be that person that just sticks around at my parents' house. So I quit my job January 6th, 7th. I saved up as much money, and for about a month I was preparing. Actually, I guess more than a month. I left February 24th, I believe. So I had about 2 months to prepare. I was trying to prepare plans, find an apartment, plan my route. I'd get my car ready, doing oil changes and everything for the big trip. See, I live in Michigan, so to Michigan to Texas is about 20, 21 hours of driving. So my original plan was leave early in the morning, drive as long as I could, and I thought I would stay in in St. Louis for the first night. It's a little less than halfway, but I thought the first day probably try to go low and just do as much driving and kind of stay out there and see if I like it. Plus, St. Louis seemed like a cool place to stop. So I was going to stop there. Then the second day, make it all the way to Texas. Along came February 23rd, the night before I left. The decision became a lot harder, right? It became very close to reality. I was I was second guessing myself. I saw my parents were sad. I had feelings of regret, but I knew I had to do it. I said I was going to do it, and not many people will make that leap, but I said I was going to do it, so I did. So about, I believe it was 1 in the morning of February 24th, I had all my stuff packed in my car ready, and out I went. I hit the road, and it was just pitch dark out. And I can remember the first 3 hours, every 10 minutes in those 3 hours, I just kept saying, Dan, you can turn around. You can always turn around and go back. And many times I was close. I remember I pulled over one time about an hour and a half out, and I just sat there for about 10 minutes thinking, is this what I really want to do? Do I want to go out and do this? So I kept with it though. So I made it past the borderline of Michigan to Illinois, and as soon as I got to Illinois, I got through Chicago, and as soon as I got through there, a massive winter storm hit. I mean, it was just blizzard conditions. It was bad, but I said I was determined. So I just kept going, and probably should have pulled over. There was many chances I had to pull over, and eventually I was like, all right, the next pit stop I see, or the next rest stop I see, I'll lay low till the blizzard goes over. Maybe I can get some sleep here so I can go even longer than I thought. So I was going to wait it out. But the next rest stop was miles away. So I'm behind this truck, and this truck decides to go over into the fast lane. And so he cut me off and it was a decision I had to make, either crash into the truck or put myself in the ditch. So I quickly swerved off and I went into the ditch. And that just seemed like a sign to me. I just remember thinking there I couldn't get out of the ditch. The snow was packed up, and even my four-wheel Ford Explorer, it couldn't get out. So I had to call for a tow truck. That ended up costing me $300. Expenses I didn't see coming. $300 just to get my car out of the ditch. That's a ton of money. Luckily, I did save a lot up, but when you have expenses like that you're not prepared for, it's not a good thing. So again, those thoughts rushed back in my head. Should I turn around? Should I go back home? And I just kept going. And at that point, I was motivated to just get to Texas. I was so sick of winter weather. I was going, I'm just going to make it to Texas today. But at that time, it just seemed like kind of hopeful thinking. So a few hours passed, and I made it to St. Louis. And it was about 45 degrees in St. Louis. So I went from Michigan in like the teens to about 45-degree weather, and there was sun. And so it just made me happy. I forgot about leaving home. It just became a road trip from then on. So I got to St. Louis and I said, I don't want to stop here. I mean, it's a cool town. I got to see the arch, but I just kept going through. And I just kept going. I made it to Missouri, and it got even warmer. The surroundings were amazing in Missouri. The highway that I passed through had great surroundings. And everything just seemed to get brighter. The sun was out. It just seemed like the right choice all of a sudden. And so I went on, and I just kept going. I got through Missouri. I got to Oklahoma. When I got to Oklahoma, it was nothing but blue skies. It was about 65 degrees. It was just sun beat in my face. I can remember almost the whole time until I made it to the border of Oklahoma and Texas. It was just sun right in my face. I can't wear sunglasses because I have these glasses. So I was staring into the sun, but the warmth of the sun and just everything just made me happier. It made me just want to keep going. And so I made it through Oklahoma, and I got to Texas, and where I went was a place called Denton, Texas. So it's about, I believe it was only about an hour and a half into Texas. So as soon as I crossed that border, I was about an hour and a half out. By the time I made it to my uncle's house, I was exhausted. I made it 21 straight hours of driving. That was determination. That was just me really wanting to pursue my passion or pursue whatever it was I was chasing out there. It was crazy. Just that drive and that whole experience from leaving and finally getting there all in one day was just crazy. The Texas story, I think I'll save the full Texas story because in such a short period of time, a lot happened. And there's a pretty crazy story that happened in Texas. So I guess I'll save that for another video. But for now, I just want to say, if you are just thinking about doing something and you're in that period or you're in that mindset of, should I do it, should I not? Am I going to disappoint people? The regret I'm feeling, does it overcome my feeling of possibly the happiest I can feel when I get there or to this destination? If you have any doubt or you're starting to doubt yourself, I say just do it. That's what this YouTube channel is going to be. It's just, I had doubt. Do I want to do it? I have social anxiety, but I like talking to people. It's kind of a paradox, but it's just, I just got to do it. So I think if you take anything away from this first part of the story, it's just go out and chase it. It might go right. It could go terribly wrong. But if you don't try, then it's always going to be later in life that what if. If I never went to Texas, I would have never found out the lessons I did. So I believe anything that you want to do, you can always do it. It's always within your grasp. You just got to go out, take that first step, take that leap, and just go out and get it. So that's going to conclude day two's video. I hope to get some editing software and some intros, outros, anything to make my channel look a little bit better, hopefully soon. Until then, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching.